Question 1 to 7. Complete the sentences below. First, some food plants, including dash, are already grown indoors. Its answer is in paragraph B. The concept of indoor farming is not new, since hothouse production of tomatoes and other produce has been in work for some time. It is clearly mentioned that the production of tomatoes and other produce has already started for a while now, and indoor farming is not new. Second, vertical farms would be located in dash, meaning that there would be less need to take them long distances to customers. Its answer is in paragraph B, fourth line. One such proposal is for the vertical farm. The concept is of multi-story buildings in which food crops are grown in environmentally controlled conditions. Situated in heart of urban centers, they would drastically reduce the amount of transportation required to bring food to customers. It is stated that if vertical farms would be located in urban centers of urban areas, then it will be easier to supply the food product to the consumers, as it will drastically reduce the transportation cost, so it will be cheaper as well. Hence, the selected answer from paragraph B is an appropriate answer for this sentence, which is urban center. Third, vertical farms could use methane from plants and animals to produce dash. In paragraph D, the supporters of vertical farming claim many potential advantages for the system. Although the system would consume energy, it would return energy to the grid by methane generation from composting non-edible parts of plants. It is mentioned that the supporters of vertical farming have claimed that vertical farms would consume energy from plants and animals to produce energy and return back the energy to nature. Fourth, the consumption of dash would be cut because agriculture vehicles would be unnecessary. Its answer is in paragraph D, last line. It would also dramatically reduce fossil fuel use by cutting out the need for tractors, plows, and shipping. As in the paragraph, they mention that in vertical farm, the use of fossil fuel would reduce dramatically by cutting out the need for agriculture vehicles. Fifth, the fact that vertical farm would need dash light is a disadvantage. In paragraph E, a major drawback of vertical farming, however, is that the plants would require artificial light. It is clearly mentioned that when it comes to vertical farming, the major drawback is that it would require artificial light for the plants to grow, as there is a lack of natural sunlight in vertical farm. Sixth, one form of vertical farming involves planting in dash which are not fixed. In paragraph F, one variation on vertical farming that has been developed is to grow plants in stacked trays that move on rails. It is mentioned that another form of vertical farming is growing the plants in stacked trays, as they are not fixed in one place and can be moved on rails, as moving of these trays allows the plants to go to the place that gets enough sunlight. Seventh, the most probable development is that food will be grown on dash in towns and cities. In paragraph G, while it is possible that much of our food will be grown in skyscrapers in future, most experts currently believe it is far more likely that we will simply use the space available on urban rooftops. It is believed that food will be grown in the available space of urban rooftops. Question 8 to 13. Do the following statements agree with the information given in the reading passage? Eighth, methods for predicting the Earth's population have recently changed. This statement is not given. Nowhere in the passage method for predicting Earth's population is mentioned, so it is not given. Ninth, human beings are responsible for some of the destruction to food producing land. This statement is true. In paragraph C, it took humans 10,000 years to learn how to grow most of the crops we now take for granted. Along the way, we despoiled most of the land we worked, often turning verdant natural ecosystem into semi-arid desert. The paragraph clearly mentioned that we humans take the growing of crops and plants for granted. We despoiled lands and turned them into desert. So it is true that we humans are responsible for the destruction of food producing land, and hence this statement is true. 10th, the crops produced in vertical farms will depend on the season. This statement is false. In paragraph D, for instance, crops would be produced all year round as they would be kept in artificially controlled optimum growing conditions. There would be no weather-related crop failure due to drought, foods, or pests. This statement is not true because crops that are grown in vertical farms don't have to worry about seasonal crop failure, as the crops will be grown indoors with the help of artificial light, which is available all year long. 11th, some damage to food crop is caused by climate change. This statement is true. In paragraph C, however, more often than not now, due to a rapidly changing climate, that is not what happens. Massive floods, long drought, hurricanes, or severe monsoon take their toll each year, destroying millions of tons of valuable crops. It is mentioned that due to rapidly changing weather, millions of crops are destroyed. So this statement is true. 12th, fertilizers will be needed for certain crops in vertical farms. This statement is false. In paragraph D, third line, all the food could be grown organically, eliminating the need for herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers. The paragraph mentioned that all food could be grown organically, which will eliminate the need for pesticide and fertilizer. So the statement is false. 13. Vertical farming will make plants less likely to be affected by infectious diseases. This statement is true. In paragraph D, fourth line, the system would greatly reduce the incidence of many infectious diseases that are acquired at the agriculture interface. This statement is true because the passage also says that a vertical farming system would reduce many infectious diseases, which means it is less likely to be affected by infectious diseases.